Okay. It looks like we're going to have, we're ready?
It's 2 o'clock. Are we ready?
It's 2 o'clock?
Yeah, see? 2 o'clock on the dot.
I think we should start at least the first 15 minutes for open mic. If you want to go ahead and talk amongst yourself, go right ahead. You sound like you were having a good time.
We'll just start recording. Perfect. We'll start.
Okay, well, as in all of our recent council meetings, the first 15 minutes open mic. If you'd like to come and address the council, please feel free to do so. At a very minimum, we'd like to have your name. As I said earlier, if you don't have a name, we'll assign you one. So we'll go ahead, and if not, we'll start the meeting. So we'll give some time to get started. Okay, what a quiet crowd. So I would like to call the regular city council meeting for Monday the 15th, 2017 to order. And could we have the invocation by Greg Swearingen of the Royal Gorge Vineyard Church come forward? Please rise.
Lord, we just thank you so much for this city, for all that you're doing here, and for all these passionate hearts that love it as much as I do, that care about it. I thank you for each one of them. I pray that you'd continue just to bless them and give them the wisdom and the strength they need to carry out their goals and their dreams for this city. And so we're just grateful once again that we could come and lift this city up to you. Pray that you would protect it. We pray for your love to shine on it. And for all that you're doing, we just thank you. Amen.
Okay, thank you. Would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Troutman.
Here.
Councilmember Smith.
Here.
Ekstrom.
Here.
Schumacher.
Here.
Gill.
Here.
Weed.
Here.
Jaquez.
Here.
And Meisner.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, are there any citizens' requests to speak written requests to speak to council?
We have received 2 written requests to speak. The first one is from Ashley Sack. She wants to talk to council and report on grant funds that they have received and projects that they have done.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Over there.
So Fremont Adventure Recreation was the recipient of a $2,600 grant, and we are so thankful for that. And I would like to report on the 3 events that we requested the money for. The first was an adventure film night called Tight Loose, and that was held in January. It happened on a cold evening in January, literally freezing, one of those cold snaps, so we didn't get quite the crowd that we thought we would. Nevertheless, we had a great group of people who gathered together at the Skyline Theater, which they volunteered their facility, which was very kind of them. We utilized the money for advertising, for promotional materials, and also for the rights to the film. That's a copyrighted film, so we had to pay for that as well. All in all, we had about 80 people, and those folks also joined us afterward at the Canyon Royal Event Center for some refreshments, and all in all, it was a fantastic evening. In addition to that, we had a secondary event that was held in April, and that was Unreal at the Royal Gorge Bridge and Park. That was the second film that kind of went along with the copyright. That film was very well attended. In fact, we sold out of tickets, and we welcomed a great number of people out to that particular event. We had over 50 people join us on a guided tour of the trails, the brand new trails up there, the Royal Gorge Park trails, which was fantastic. Over 23% of those people were from out of town, so we were very pleased to see some folks from the Castle Rock, Denver, Colorado Springs, Pueblo area come down and be introduced to our trail systems and also to some of the other facilities and things that we have in the Canyon City area, so that was fantastic. The second event that we had in February was the Snow Queen, and our goal for that event, if you might remember, was to have at least 50 people. Sometimes first-time events aren't very popular, but we worked very hard to get the word out about this event, and in fact, it did sell out at 110 people, which was great. Our goal was to offer a fun incentive for female Canyon City residents to stay healthy and active in the winter months, to work with other local organizations to foster a community of wellness in Fremont County, and to raise awareness for Women's Heart Health Month. So we exceeded that 50 runners. We raised over $550 for the Yeti program, which if you were anywhere near Centennial Park on Run Blossom Day, you would have noticed 230 blue t-shirt clad students running the 5K, and that was a crowning achievement for Fremont Adventure Recreation and for our community and all the volunteers who worked to make that program successful. So the Snow Queen donated money to that endeavor. We also supported 5 local female entrepreneurs or vendors who sold goods at the Snow Queen, which was fantastic. 7% of those attendees, of those 110 attendees, were from out of the county. So our goal was to provide an opportunity for local women. So we did just that, and we also brought some new folks into the area to show them what we have going on. And many comments were that this was their first 5K that they've ever run, and nothing could make me happier, because if we're getting folks out who have never run a 5K, who are intimidated to run, I think that's probably one of our highest goals, is to get folks out and active. The third item that we are utilizing these funds for is for our adventure guide. I hope you all find the copy sitting in front of you and try to keep yourself from thumbing through it through the rest of the meeting. I know it's very exciting and the photographs are gorgeous. We were able to print 4,500 of this guide, and our essential goal this year, as opposed to last year where we only had funds to print about 1,700, so this year we're spreading those all across Colorado like confetti. We're giving them to anywhere from Denver to the Western Slope. We have 200 of them going up to the Colorado Welcome Center in Fort Collins, and that's to start. That's how many they would like just to see how it goes. So we're taking these all across the state in the hopes that the Royal Gorge region will be one of the premier outdoor recreation destinations in Colorado. So we're looking forward to spreading the word of all the fantastic recreation opportunities we have to folks across Colorado, and of course folks coming in from outlying states as well. So we did get an additional grant from the FCTC and also the Colorado Tourism Organization that helped fund additionally that endeavor. So the money that we have garnered from your grant, we will use to do a second printing, and we also are utilizing part of it to do a special printing for 6th graders in Fremont County. We do a special edition. We kind of take out some of the things that aren't relevant to 6th graders and put in some geology and some history information, and we distribute those to every single 6th grader in Fremont County, and that does include Florence and also Cotopaxi. So we're very excited to do that. That cost us a little additional money, so thank you for the help. And any additional money will go towards, as I said, that second printing to make sure we get as many copies in as many hands as we possibly can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. We are really proud of the FAR organization and what you do for our community. It's by far incredibly excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Another one?
I have one more written request to speak. That's Lisa Heim. She wants to say thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to talk. I just wanted to thank the City of Canyon City for all of its help and collaboration with the Chamber for the last 2.5 years. This is my last official City Council meeting. My last day at the Chamber is May 31st. I will always stay involved in the community. I love this community. I will always be a part of what's going on, but I just wanted to reach out and thank all of you for your close work with the Chamber and your collaboration and your just embracing everything that I did. So thank you so very much.
Oh, just a minute. You're not done, Lisa.
Some things are not allowed.
Well, we have a letter here thanking you for
Oh.
your hard work. Let me read it to you. Is it okay if I read him the letter? Her the letter? Okay. On behalf of the City of Canyon City, the City Council wishes to formally recognize your excellence in work as the Director of the Chamber of Commerce. Throughout the years, we have enjoyed your dedication and enthusiasm for your job. Without your loyalty, hard work, and positive enthusiasm for our great city, we could never have achieved our present stature. During your tenure, you've attended nearly every single council meeting, organized countless community events, fundraisers, concerts, workshops, initiated ecstatic improvements and summer flowers and Christmas lights, and so much more. Your willingness to serve on and chair multiple boards not only enhanced our community, but brought many entities together to work toward common goals. You've definitely left your mark on the city, and we are indebted to your vision and commitment. So why don't you come up here? We'd like to present you with something. Would you come forward,
Thank you.
please? Do you want to step down in front and we'll present them?
I'm a gambling woman.
Oh, it's really heavy. I know.
Chocolate.
We did.
Right here between.
Thank you all so very much. Very much. Oh, I won't be a stranger. I will haunt you guys. I don't have to be nice anymore.
All right, thank you again, Lisa. Ashley, would you go forward with about our park committee?
While we're doing recognitions, I'd also like to invite all of those who participated in the Centennial in Mountain View Park to come up to the microphone. And Rex, maybe you can come up as well. And
Yeah.
we want to recognize all of those who gave their time and service on behalf of the city of Canyon City as well. We have instituted several different committees where we've invited people from the community to give their input and expertise towards projects that we're working on. And we are so grateful for those community members who stepped up to the plate and came and served on our board. We had a lot of leaders from the community, including those involved with the river, sports, and so much more. But we also always hope to instill and hopefully inspire and give people experience to become future leaders in Canyon City. And so we're so excited that we have our youngest member up there, Elijah, who has also served on our committee. He'll be the best future leader we probably will have, and he is an excellent participant and one of our probably best experts. And so on behalf of the City of Canyon City, we would like to formally express our gratitude to you for your participation on the Centennial Mountain View Parks Master Plan Committee. We recognize that the success of the master plan is not only attributable to the committee working together, but to your efforts in particular. And we appreciate the service you provided to enhance the parks, quality of life, and tourism attractions in Canyon City, as well as carrying on a legacy of community participation and pride. We had a total of about 15 people that served on our committee. It's a wide range. And we've gotten a lot of really positive feedback. We'll be adopting the plan later on tonight and discussing it a little bit more. But I would love to, if you have a little something you want to say about your experience or the parks, we'd love to hear from you. And then we'll invite you to come up and do a picture as well.
Come on, Elijah. Your moment.
Well, what I thought was I'm just really excited about the changes that are going to happen, and I can't wait for them. So.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm Shirley Bainey, representing the Canyon City Rotary Club and also a resident of Fremont County. And this has been a real honor to work with all of the city on this, and it's so exciting what you guys are doing. But on the other side, Rotary has been having our annual Duck Derby. This will be our 6th year, and our proceeds are going to go to the city to help with the splash pad or, where needed. So on behalf of Rotary, we want to say thank you for letting us join you in this, and I'd like to introduce some Rotarians.
Okay, please.
Okay,
Bring 'em on
Tony,
up.
Tony?
Dennis, George Turner, Terry Madigan, Bob Stovall, and Roseanne Gaines, and I think that's our Rotary group today, so we are honored to work with the city on this.
Well, thank
Shirley,
you.
can you mention how much money the Rotary is contributing to the city? It's quite significant.
We've got to do, we still have the Duck Derby coming up this July, and so we're hoping to around $35,000 to $40,000. We're still, trying to see. So you all can buy some Duck Derby tickets anytime you see the big duck and help that along too. So, thank you.
Thank you. So we have everybody up front. Oh, go ahead.
I was grateful as a member of the community to participate, and of course to have my son Elijah participate too. I think the biggest benefit I've got out of this is kind of catching a vision of more of what we want for our community here, and so I've been trying to share that more with others, looking at not only what we put together here as a master plan for our park, but looking at long-term of what we're going to try and do here with the corridor and stuff. And I think if we can just share more of that vision with others, it's just amazing, and help others to be more excited about our community. I lived here as a child. I grew up going to Centennial Park. I take my children there now, and I'm excited about what we're going to do, and I'm excited about, what our community is going to get out of this, and it's pretty awesome. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to participate in this.
Thank you. Else?
Hi, my name is Lydia Beals, and I run the Canyon City Blitz, which is a soccer club that's in Fremont County. And for me, it was really nice to get an experience where I felt some collaboration with the city. I had an opportunity to let people know what my organization does and to let the city know what our needs are. And so running a nonprofit solo in your spare time, it was really nice to just get with an organization of people and say, hey, this is what we need, and have people say, hey, we can support that. Being in Fremont County, sometimes I think you feel a little bit alone in the process. So it was nice to collaborate. And I just really appreciate the city looking forward and trying to build and grow. I think my organization in particular is very excited about the Mountain View Park changes that are coming up as well. And you guys have kind of answered the prayers of many parents and children, so that's always a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Kristen?
Hello, I'm
Hello.
Kristen Economy. I kind of feel pressured to talk since everybody else did. I do want to say also thank you for this opportunity to update our flagship park as well as Mountain View Park. I wanted to serve on this committee specifically as a resident, as somebody who lives downtown, somebody whose family consistently uses the Centennial Park, and we have for years. And so we're very excited to see the changes go through for this plan. It was really nice to work with everybody on this committee. I think, this is one of those committees where we all really work together and listen to one another, and everybody had great feedback, and I'm really looking forward to seeing all the changes take place in the near future, and so are my children. So thank you for this opportunity. I travel all around Colorado, and I see these communities constantly upgrading their parks and doing this and that, and so I'm like, yes, it's our turn. This is going to happen to us, and I think it'll be wonderful for visitors as well as residents alike to see these improvements to our flagship park. So again, thanks.
Thank you, Kristen. We're going to have a picture again down front, or do you want to wait for more
I'd like
people?
to invite all of you to please come up, and also all the Rotarians that are here tonight, please come up as well, as you are also an integral part of the improvement to these parks. We are so appreciative of your work in raising funds to help enhance and get a splash pad for our kids.
She's at the other end of the camera, I got a suspicion.
Yes, she is.
Can you step just a little bit that way, Rex Brady? Right there. At the top right now. And Shirley Bainey, can you go that way just to get this way? Yeah.
Thank you.
If we open this door the other way. But the mayor was leaving. And another crooked sign.
Is that about it?
Got several of them.
Oh, yeah, they're all jacked up
Oh,
now.
my. That'll drive me nuts.
Okay, well,
Before they leave,
Yes.
can I just make a comment?
Scott,
Folks, starting with Lisa and everything that we've heard so far tonight, thank you. You are what makes this town great.
Yep.
Thank you.
yes, thank you so much.
It's you guys.
Thank you.
And that was only about, there was 15 on that committee? So, thank you again. Look for good things. Where are we at? I'm lost. Okay, there we are.
Really?
So, as usual, I'm lost. We'll seek approval of the minutes for the May 1st, 2017 regular city council meeting, the May 1st, 2017 special city council meeting, and the May 3rd, 2017 general government committee meeting. Are there any corrections at this time? We have first.
Mr.
Do not say it.
Okay.
You too.
Could I have a motion and a second?
I'll make a motion. Mr. Mayor and Council, I'd like to approve the minutes, or make a motion to approve the minutes from the 5/1/2017 regular city council meeting, and the May 1st, 2017 special city council meeting, and the May the 3rd, 2017 general government committee meeting.
Second.
Ms. Schumacher, I'll call the roll, please.
Councilmember Gill?
Aye.
Councilmember Schumacher?
Aye.
Councilmember Ekstrom?
Aye.
Councilmember Smith?
Aye.
Councilmember Weed?
Aye.
Councilmember Jaquez?
Aye.
Councilmember Meisner?
Aye.
Approved by unanimous vote.
Thank you all. Are there any council member announcements at this time? Mr. Meisner?
Ms. Smith and I had the opportunity to represent the city or city council with the Broncos fan salute that was here Saturday, that was, I guess, hosted by the chamber, and which they did an extremely good job. And they gave us this little flag that Ashley and I are going to show you. Still got stuff in it, obviously. So we're suggesting that be put up on the city flagpole on game days.
In honor of John Havens, who would have loved to have that.
Yes, you would.
This belongs to the city.
Wow. Thank you.
The wind went down.
It'll last a couple of years.
Are there any other announcements? I have a question. There is a corridor plan. Is that this week
I think there's 2 meetings. So we
There's
have a
2
corridor
meetings.
plan tomorrow at
at 6?
6? Is it at 6 tomorrow? The river corridor?
Public
Oh, the open house, yes.
open house.
The open
Yes.
house tomorrow at 6, and then vision at 4 on Wednesday.
Wednesday. Okay. Mr. Weed?
Yeah, if we're done with official announcements.
I have one. Go ahead.
I'm just going to say, I just want to congratulate my daughter, Catherine. She'll be graduating Saturday from Texas Tech University, summa cum laude.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
Congratulations.
Wow.
Go Red Raiders.
To you and your pocketbook, congratulations, huh?
One down,
one down, one to go. I got that. So also, Friday night is cruise night in downtown Canyon City from 6 to 8. And I also heard from KRLN 1400, I'm sorry, that they will be playing oldies music from 5:30 to 7:30. So if you're going to cruise Main Street or come down and see the cars and see what's going on Main Street on Friday night, if you'll tune into the local radio station, the AM station, you'll hear oldies music. I think that would be appropriate, and thank them for doing that. So that's Friday night.
And Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Also, Friday's a busy day because 8:30 in the morning is our Stormwater Task Force meeting, which the county commissioners will be attending. We're going to be prioritizing some projects and potentially looking at a project that we could collaboratively work on together, which would be absolutely excellent if we can accomplish that, and would encourage council members, if you can come, please do.
That's Friday morning.
That's Friday morning, 8:30 here at City Hall. And also there's the Flashback Cadillac Saturday night.
The
as well.
flashback on Main Street.
Yeah, on Main Street.
Yep. A lot of stuff. Exciting time in Canyon
After,
City.
yeah.
Go see our beautiful downtown. So, okay.
One
Let's move
comment.
on. Yes.
Just quickly, on the Stormwater Committee, I'd volunteered for that committee under the assumption that those meetings would be at hours that I could attend, and unfortunately that has not happened, so I apologize for that.
By design, thank you.
I plan to attend. So. Okay, let's move on to the adoption of the agenda and the consent agenda. Tony, could you review the consent agenda items, please?
Yeah, 5A would authorize the city administrator to execute a letter of engagement to conduct the city's 2016 comprehensive financial audit with Swass Horse and Company for $21,000. That's a $1,000 increase over the prior year. This is their fifth and final year of this engagement, so this will be rebid for next year, but they have done outstanding work. 5B would be to adopt a resolution authorizing a need to transfer approximately $281,000, or about 1% of the city's 2016 budget, between line item purposes as required by city charter in 2016 general fund, museum fund, water fund, and self-insurance fund. These transfers will not increase the total budget within any of these funds, but are simply individual line item adjustments and reconciliations as required by the city charter. 5C would authorize a temporary street closure of the 300 block of Main Street on May 19th, as the mayor referred, between 4 and 9 p.m. for a Meet the Greet event for the Colorado Hill Climb Association. They're going to apparently do a car show of the vehicles that will participate in that, so that would be fun. 5D would be adopt a resolution adopting requirements and procedures for the Uniform Election Code of 1992 for the purposes of participating in a coordinated election with Fremont County's clerk and recorder on November 7th, 2017. 5E would authorize the mayor to execute a letter of support for the city's HR director, Stephanie Massey, to apply for a vacant position on the Colorado Intergovernmental Risk Sharing Agency Board of Directors. So we'd love to see her on that. 5F would be adopt a resolution to enter into an agreement with CDOT for the funding of the sidewalks on Field Avenue. This project is proposed to cost $350,000, of which the city's proportional share is 20% or $70,000. These provide sidewalks on both sides of Harrison School and the Mountain View Core Knowledge School. So we believe this work will get done this summer. And bids 5G would be a bid to award magnesium chloride for our dust abatement. We have about a mile of dirt road still in the city. It's about 10,500 gallons to GMCO Corporation of Colorado in the amount of $8,295. Interestingly enough, the materials are actually manufactured right in Florence, so we don't have to go very far. And we'll be using the same company this winter when you use the de-icer as part of the new winter safety plan.
Any additions or corrections? Could I have a motion and a second? Schumacher?
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we, pardon me, start over. I'll make
Okay.
a motion that we pass the adoption of the agenda and consent agenda as written.
Second.
Mr. Reed, second. Any discussion on that motion? Mr. Meisner?
Tony, on the Wilson crossing, is that the only payment or first payment or last payment? What's the scoop?
Are you talking about the Field Street? I
No,
didn't hear the
the
very...
Wilson contract for the pedestrian crossing, the expense for that.
Oh. Well, the total budget for that engagement was $200,000. So I don't know if that's the final payment, but I will double check.
I hope so. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more discussion? Would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Schumacher?
Aye.
Councilmember Weed?
Aye.
Councilmember Meisner?
Aye.
Councilmember Jaquez?
Aye.
Councilmember Gill?
Aye.
Councilmember Ekstrom?
Aye.
Councilmember Smith?
Aye.
Approved by unanimous vote.
Okay. Could we have the administrator's report, Tony?
The only thing we want to highlight is we'll be getting underway with the 2A projects early this summer, and the city, in conjunction with Kiewit, who is the general contractor, will have a joint website so the public can stay abreast of the improvements. Where roads will be closed down for periods of time, we'll provide detour information, but give the public ongoing information about the progress that we're making on what should be about 7 center lane miles of road construction this summer and about $9 million worth of improvements. So we're excited to share that information.
Meisner?
Do we have 2A signs?
Yes.
Okay.
They'll be out there to recognize, the
2A
thanks
funds.
to the public, that these are roads being improved with 2A funding.
Okay,
And so we have big signs and we have little signs.
Any medium sign?
And, well, the committee, most of those signs are paid for by the Citizens for Better Streets Committee, so we bought as many as our budget could do. And we'll probably also have an opening ceremony. Tony, is that right?
Yes.
On a bulldozer?
Probably be in early June. And we might do it at 2 sites. For example, Mariposa would be an excellent site, and so would East Main, that represent kind of the geographical distribution that will take place this summer.
Yeah, I see activity on Yale, and I also see activity over on 16th Street, so they seem to be getting right after it. So, by the first part of June. Okay. Any other comments? Did we call the roll? We didn't? Would you call the roll, please? Did we call the roll? Oh, that's Tony's report. Sorry.
But I approve.
We did, we
I'll make a motion.
voted on that. It's been a long week
It
so
has
far.
been a
It
long
has been a long week, yes. Okay, number 7 is adoption of Centennial Park Master Plan. Could we have the report from our Parks Director, Mr. Brady?
Sure, I didn't have a chance to speak while everybody else was speaking there, but I just wanted to say what a pleasure it was to work with these fine individuals that we had on our committee. We did a lot of work. We were kind of on the fast track, and so we got a lot of work done really, really quickly. We've already got some bids out for our splash pad and our new playground equipment, which will open June 6th. So we're well on our way to getting those improvements going and underway. And I want to introduce these young ladies on my left here, and they're with the SE group. This is Mary Hart and Gabby Voller. They are going to, Mary will speak just a little bit about the process that we went through and how we ended up where we ended up with the fine plan that we have. So with that, I'll introduce Mary Hart.
Thanks, Rex. As he said, this is Gabby from SE Group, and we are here on behalf of the Parks Committee to share with you what we've been working on the last couple months. I would like to say thank you for the opportunity to assist with this process. Thank you. And I do want to say assist because it really has been a vision of the Parks Committee that we've been, frankly, I've just been drawing for them. And so the Parks Committee and the community really have the lead hand in this plan. And so as a master plan, I did want to remind everybody that it is a broad vision for the park and the surrounding areas and such. We know through the process we never make everybody happy all of the time. However, recognizing that as a master plan, it's the first step and the big vision, and then each next step needs further design and study and working through as a community. So I think this is a first great step that that the city has taken, and I'd like to take just a couple minutes to walk you through the process that we went through, and then talk a little bit about the goals, and then share with you how they've been implemented in the plan, okay? So is this my go? Hello. So the process, of course, started with the Parks Committee, and the Parks Committee set out a lot of program goals and program elements that we wanted to try to incorporate into the park, and I'll get into those here shortly. Then, based on those program goals and elements, I went away and I drew 3 options of how they could actually fit on the land and in the spaces you have.
Would it
I'd be able to hear you without it.
And so after completing 3 options, we had
You could stand at the podium too if you'd be more comfortable. That'd be fine. Okay.
Give it to our grandkids. They'll know how to turn it on.
Okay. So just to go through a few of the goals that the committee took close about.
The one on the, she's
Yeah, let's do it without it.
We could hear you fine without it. Yeah.
Just unhook it from the other one there on the podium.
So the first major goal of the Parks Committee was obviously to figure out where to put the 2017 budgeted improvements. That included the pavilion, the new play set, the splash pad, and the restroom. And so that was kind of the reason we were in a little bit of a rush to get this going, because that's budgeted and we want to figure out where that fits in the big master plan. So we looked at a bunch of different places for it, and after kind of going around and around, we landed at a spot right here where this is the pavilion, a large event lawn that associates with the pavilion. The playground would be here, and kind of a linear shaped splash pad in this area. Restrooms would be in this area. And they kind of ended up in this part of the park in order to be convenient to parking, concentrate a lot of the activity here, allow the playground to be accessible and visible from, say, parents that are in the pavilion, and so those uses kind of mesh together fairly well as having the splash pad nearby. So while this part of the park is going to be a pretty active part of the park, I think that's a cool thing, because then it allows other parts of the park to be more passive and quiet. Another important goal of the plan was to enhance the non-vehicular connectivity into Main Street. And in looking at that, we looked at several different options. The one main recommendation of this plan is to look at an at-grade crossing of Highway 50 to connect the park to Main Street. We did work in tandem with the Highway Committee and understand what they're doing, but we kind of came up with a little different idea, which was to look at creating a large pedestrian plaza corridor. Think of something like Pearl Street in Boulder, or 16th Street Mall in Denver, where it starts up on Main Street. This is the clock tower that's there, And that whole parking lot could become a plaza portal that opens the park all the way up to Main Street. Changing 3rd Street into a pedestrian plaza so that people can walk in a nice environment all the way down to the bridge. Integrating with Veterans Park, this could become a plaza that then touches and lets people experience Veterans Park as well. At this point, this is not a specific study of Centennial Park especially, so there's a lot of options still to look at here. Perhaps this drawing shows 3rd Street going away and Water Street extension, a new road providing access to the railroad coming in this way. There's other options that we looked at, such as making this one-way, even just moving it all over and keeping 3rd Street as it is. And I think those options can continue to be explored. At-grade pedestrian crossing here. Above and below, the reason you're building that is to overcome the barrier of Highway 50, because it's having to go up or down grades then becomes a barrier itself. So in a way, the barrier solution presents a new barrier, and that's why we're recommending at grade. The other thing I feel is that when you separate the access from the grade, whether you're going over or under, you detach from the urban fabric of the city. So you're not experiencing the city, you're experiencing, oh, I'm down or I'm up, but you're not in the city. So those are the reasons we're recommending the at-grade crossing. And again, still lots to be worked out here. We did meet with our neighbors here at the train station, and they were worried about some of this stuff, and tried to tell them, this is a first look and a first study, and certainly considering their business. And of course, integrating new recreational amenities into the park, such as the stuff we just talked about here. Soccer field was an important request from the community. A new volleyball court, a big lawn. Naturalizing the duck pond was something we talked about, where currently kind of maintaining the existing fields and ball field. And then another important goal was maintaining the existing trees. So in looking at this park, it doesn't look significantly different really than what you have, and that's because I worked really hard to incorporate the existing trees into the plan. So this row of trees, this row of trees, these trees. Access, and including not only the river access here, which exists, but making it convenient to have boats drop off. So essentially the whole circulation of the park has changed. Currently, one road comes in. Cars. And so to us, it was kind of a no-brainer that that went away and left more of the park for fun stuff. We did add parking here, and there's a way for emergency vehicles to get turned. As to the good stuff. The other part of river access that we're recommending in the report is creating a kind of a support the existing events and allow for new events such as configured in this way. That meant looking at things to have multiple uses. Just like this could be a pavilion as well as a stage, we looked at that would stay as a nice open grass area for other uses such as events. Of course, all these details will be worked out as the project comes along and gets phased. As you know, phase 1 is happening right here. Access, 3 soccer, duck pond. 4 would be, and some of the later phases are based on if the city can find property for moving things around. But phase 4 would be looking for could be the north side of the river. Again, that's based on acquiring any easements or right-of-ways that you might need for Water Street, and also ties in.
Thank you. Were there any questions from council? Comment, Mr. Gill?
What's the completion expectation on phase 1 date-ish?
Phase 1, I'm hoping will be done by the end of this calendar year. We're rolling on it, and that was the expectation when we went into this.
How's that
That's
going
why
to
we-
work with the Whitewater Festival? Just curious, I mean, it's going to be what it's going to be, just a curiosity.
Well, actually, it shouldn't be much of a problem at all this year, because we're actually working kind of on the western side of the park. That's where we're going in, and most of their activity is to the east.
Okay.
So I think we can work in conjunction with the Whitewater and not miss a beat.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions, Mr. Meisner?
I got a couple. First of all, that turnaround that's near the duck pond, have we clarified the size of that turnaround with the fire department in terms of handling emergency vehicles?
We have not.
That would be a step that would be taken care of during the actual design process. And I don't know, there's always the question, what vehicle do they want to turn around? If they want to turn around their ladder truck there, I'm going to tell you, that's not designed for a ladder truck turnaround.
Not very many tall buildings right there.
Exactly. But sometimes they still take their ladder truck to get cats out of trees. And, I've had fire departments ask to get their ladder truck in places that you wouldn't expect. But that is designed to have an ambulance get around there for, those sorts of needs.
The second question is back to the pavilion and the discussion that I mentioned with Chief DeVecchio in terms of the size of that structure and the distance. Have you had any discussions with DeVecchio?
I have not, but I plan to do that. We can, and certainly these amenities don't have to go in exactly the same place that they are on the map, they can be moved and the parking lot extended if necessary to get that, you know, the right spacing or distance that they need to get to that particular apparatus. But we will take all that into consideration, of course, as we move forward.
That'll be in the design, the actual design stage.
Rex, I had some parents ask me if there would be more trees and shade planted around the playground equipment. Is there a plan to add some more vegetation there?
Yeah, there is. There's not a whole lot of landscaping detail on this. That is kind of where I come in. That's my forte is landscape. But if you can see on the plan, around the playground area, we're planning on putting a tall berm, a grassed berm out there. It's kind of difficult to see from here, but that area will be landscaped and with trees and shrubs and create shade for the playground itself. And along with, you know, in the future, possibly some natural play features that are built into that berm that we talked about.
The play features in the berm will be in the future, so that's not going to be part of the bid this year. Because we had talked about the big slides and the berms and things like that.
Right, we're just bidding the main play area now, and what I see in the future is just little pockets of play, natural play equipment, like a slide, a small slide that is built into the hillside, or, you know, possibly a little sandbox feature that we talked about in our committee meetings, and, you know, other different, more natural type play features. So that, you know, just the playground itself is not the end of the project. We will add to that. And especially with that berm, that creates an opportunity to really add some really natural type play equipment, if that's the word you want to use, but, and actually build it into the hill. You can actually build. They've become popular. I've seen them around the state as just little caves for kids to go into. There's a cave, there's a hole, they go into it. And so that'll create a lot of those opportunities for us.
Council?
Just wondering if any of the committee members had any more input you wanted to offer to council.
We can, anybody else on council? Okay, any comments from the audience at this time? You'd like to step up to the podium and have your name and address, please?
Thank you, John Hamrick, 108 Dewey Road. This looks really exciting, council members and Mr. Mayor. It looks really neat. One thing I would ask you to consider in any implementation, there's the talk of a pavilion, which can also be a stage. One of the things that Salida has that is really cool, in my opinion, being a semi-musician, just semi, but being really cool is they have kind of an amphitheater stage that is, you know, for plays or music events or something like that. And as I understand this, it looks like it's more like a traditional stage with bring your own seating, grass type area. But if you could consider some type of amphitheater or something more, you know, conducive to music or even stage plays would be really nice.
Can I ask you a question about that? Are you specifically talking about the big amphitheater in Salida that has the grade going down? And I looked at this existing park and I said, do we have any grade change to work with? And it just isn't there. So that's part of why we don't have that, because the natural grade is very flat, and I didn't want to get the city into doing a major earthwork project to create that kind of a grade change for that sort of amphitheater.
I understand.
Yeah.
Understand. But to keep in, but really my request is keep music and keep plays in mind when you're thinking about that structure.
Thank you. Would you like to approach the microphone or want to talk right there?
No, she can't tell right there. No.
I know, I was going to say that. I was trying to be nice. Lisa,
Perfection isn't my problem.
no comment.
I just wanted to talk about the proposed dog park at the west end of Veterans Park.
Taken off.
Oh, that has been taken off.
Not on this, it's still on this plan, which is an older version, but it's been requested to.
See the one behind you, we took it off for the final adopted plan.
Because one of the things I was going to suggest for that area, which is the why I'm up here, is if the visitor's cabin is going to remain at its current location. There are so many weekends over the summer when our visitor cabin is closed because we have no parking and no access because Veterans Park is closed for events. So I thought it would be a consideration to bring a driveway in off of First Street. We'd have to cross the ditch there and make a parking area in there so that even when Veterans Park is closed, we have access for our visitors to get information. It would be wonderful if our existing chamber could be closed off so that they could, in those times, be at the chamber, but because it allows complete access to the entire chamber, it's difficult to give just everybody keys to that. But if we were going to have a parking lot over there, we could fulfill the needs of the visitors, as well as if we had a turnaround large enough, we could even get motorhomes in there and vehicles and trailers. So I just wanted to propose that as a possibility. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Any other comments from the audience? Yes, ma'am.
When we were looking at the pavilion, we also were looking at Veterans Park and I think rearranging where the stage is currently located. And so I guess my thought as a committee member would be that that stage at Veterans Park, when they rearrange and make it so that the grass is longer and a little bit more well-suited, that at that point that pavilion could be more of an amphitheater type stage activity. Whereas the pavilion at the park, I think they were trying to kind of rival Pathfinder's giant picnic pavilion for events and more picnicking type stuff, but maybe Veterans Park with the change could be more like an amphitheater. That's just my thought.
Okay, thank you. I think the Veterans Park would be not part of this right now. That was not, your discussion was just with Centennial, correct?
Well, there are some potential enhancements for parking at Veterans Park and access to it as well, especially as we do the connectivity from 3rd Street to there were a little bit of changes made there.
But we're going to adopt the Centennial Park Master Plan. That portion isn't in it at this time. By necessity, it's not in it, but it would be in the future. Yes, because that is in conjunction with other property that we may acquire, right? Okay, could I have a motion and a second from council?
Mr. Mayor, I did want to make a
Yes.
little comment. Just for the record, sometimes there have been some comments made, why aren't we spending this money on streets? And I just want to clarify that we are putting extra money into the streets this year. We have the $3.5 million that we're anticipating coming in from the 2A tax. But on top of that, we're putting an additional $5 million from an interfund loan, potentially at close to $9 million, as we mentioned before, are going towards streets above and beyond the normal budget for our streets. Besides having the infrastructure of streets that really need attention, there's other parts of infrastructure throughout Canyon City that have been neglected for many decades, and Centennial Park is one of them. And the money that we are using for this park has come from a fund that the city has been saving for 15 years to garner enough money, and we wanted to make sure that that 15 years worth of savings went to something that could benefit almost every single person in our area. We have learned that 91% of our citizens use our public parks, and so by enhancing this park, it'll benefit almost every single person that lives in Canyon City and Fremont County as well. And that we have found that there was about 84% support from our citizen survey to do these upgrades, and so we felt a confidence that this is something that I think our community overall can and will support doing. And of course, having the Rotary Club and their money and investment towards the splash pad is an absolute wonderful enhancement towards that. So I just wanted to clarify that this is
Thank you.
something that we want to do that'll benefit absolutely everybody. And that we were very careful and conscientious with the money, that we made sure we got as much bang for our buck as we could with that investment. And also we're a little bit more careful with our spending at Mountain View Park, so we could put more investment towards Centennial Park as well.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Okay, I'm asking for a motion and a second.
Mr.
Ms. Smith?
Mayor,
Ms. Smith?
I move that we adopt the Centennial Park Master Plan.
Second.
Second. Mr. Hawkins, did you second? Any discussion on that motion? Mr. Meisner?
I just want to clarify that on page 12, personally, I think those things are out of sequence, but essentially the plan is items A through F. Is that correct?
Legend for the map.
Well, it says
That's
that-
not a phasing plan, that's just a legend for the map. Phasing plan is later in the document.
But A through F are basically the non-Centennial Park related.
So where's the plan at?
Page 22. And then if you turn to page 23, Mr. Meisner, given the Veterans Park discussion and all the comments that we just heard regarding that, it's clear on page 23 that we're really looking at just the Centennial Park for the first 4 phases there. Do you see that on page 23? So if you focus on number 1, we're looking at changing that gravel pad to accommodate the splash pad and the pavilion. Number 2 is changing that parking where the boat launch is.
Right. I was at all the meetings. I just think the concept of this plan, there's lots of things here, but nowhere does it specifically state this is the plan. Or I'm not reading something correct.
On page 22, phase 1.
See that?
So I guess.
So is page 22 the plan?
The Centennial,
The whole
the
plan
whole thing is,
Adopt the
that's the
book.
plan,
Look at
with
the
indexes
plan
and all.
And the plan document, and then there's a plan map in the book.
But you tell me on page 12 that items A through F are not part of the plan. So we have stuff in this thing that are not part of the plan, is where I get confused.
Well, I guess in our request for proposal, the request for proposal asked us to study the linkage between Main Street and the park, and so that's why that was included in the plan. Now,
A through F are part of the plan.
master plan, so it's a big vision of how the park could link to Main Street. So I would say. they
I
are
think
part-
what we're looking at is we're looking at far too much. We just need to look at what they're talking about right now in the park with the splash pad and everything else. All that other stuff is stuff that's going to come in at a later date. It's not something that's coming in right now. And a lot of those things are always subject to change based on, one, money, based on a lot of things. But right now, the concentration, as I look at it, is what we've talked about with the splash pad in that little area. Not anything going up 3rd Street yet. That's in the future. Not anything with regards to the soccer field. That's in the future. Right now, we're looking at just that part that they're going to try to accomplish right now.
Meisner, can I understand your concern behind your comment? Is it that, because the master plan was to be a broad brush look at the Centennial Park as well as linking it to Main Street, and so is there a concern with showing the idea of it, how it might connect in the future? And as a master plan, it's meant to be a big picture concept, not a final document, right?
I'm just looking at something here that as a master plan, this is a conceptual study.
Yes.
So we're approving the conceptual study is what we're doing, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it's a master plan. It's an accumulation of ideas that they have studied and put down. And it'd be detailed. We're not here to do the details of that.
I think what Jim was alluding to is that A through F are parts that were originally, we had phased in, like maybe it would have been phase 6, but we had chose not to include that into the phasing because we wanted this park plan to be, you know, as friendly as possible to the general public, and phase 6 might be a little bit more controversial. And maybe it's still, those elements in A through F are still there. I think that.
I realize the concept of what we were talking about with the Centennial Plan is a challenge relative to the whole River Corridor Plan. But we have a Canyon City Centennial Park Master Plan that includes a bunch of items that are not part of that plan. And if the John Doe public looks at this, I'm not so sure how they would understand what is and what is not part of that plan. And even your own verbiage, and I'm going to drop this, you tell me in one space that A through F are not part of the plan, but then you tell me they are part of the plan, so I'm good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Well, I think ultimately we want a vision of how we can connect downtown to the river corridor, and so it's just kind of that little seed that's being planted on how that can connect.
That way we can present the information. We could certainly go ahead and make some changes if the council isn't comfortable adopting the plan in this form.
Apparently, council's comfortable with this plan, so.
Any other comments on the motion? Hearing none, would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Smith.
Aye.
Councilmember Jaquez.
Aye.
Councilmember Gill.
Aye.
Councilmember Weed.
Aye.
Councilmember Meisner.
Nay.
Councilmember Schumacher.
Aye.
Councilmember Ekstrom.
Aye.
Approved by majority vote.
Okay, thank you. Ordinance number 12, series 2017. This is a first reading. It's an ordinance codifying the ordinance number 19, series 1994. I will need 3 council people to introduce. Mr. Weed, Mr. Gill, Mr. Meisner. Would you read by title, please?
This is a bill for ordinance number 12, series of 2017, an ordinance amending Chapter 5.30 of the Canyon City Municipal Code by the addition of a new section 5.30.070 concerning distance restrictions for hotel, restaurant, liquor license establishments.
Could we have the report from the city attorney, please?
Ms. Robbie, when she was looking through some of the liquor licensing stuff, discovered that this ordinance from 1994. And so in order to make sure that the staff is aware and the public is aware, we're just asking for the exact same thing to be codified.
Any comments or questions from council? Go ahead.
We've been adhering to it all along. It just hasn't been in the code. Like I said, the public wouldn't know, but most of staff, I knew it, but it just kind of needs to be in the code if we're, I don't know why it wasn't since
Well, if
1994.
anything happened to you, no one would know. So.
Careful, be careful.
Coming from an attorney, that scares me.
Mr. Meisner.
I have a question for Dennis. Just because you're older. Not older, but you know what I mean, more tenured. What's the logic with this? Do you know?
I think this predates me by a good bit.
Oh, really?
30 years.
1984?
It was 3 years before I got here, and so I think what happened is they wanted to make sure there was able to have hotel restaurants within the Main Street area. I think if you look at like Mr. Ed's or any of those restaurants there where the middle school is, you'd be able to have a hotel restaurant there, but not a tavern.
Is there a difference?
There's a lot of difference.
Okay. If Scott says so, I'm good.
Over a beer, we'll talk about it.
I'm just curious, since the ordinance was already approved a long time ago, I'm actually, what are we doing? Codifying it. What does that mean? I mean,
So the 1994 ordinance had no placement in the code, so it was just languishing out there by itself.
It was written without it being adding subsection 5.
Well, that sounds like an administrative oversight, and I mean,
It'd be
I'm fine doing this, but it seems like just put it in and it would
Well,
be done.
But
Well,
we're
the
not,
or-
we don't have the authority to do that, because the ordinance was written without a code section, so it's not that
Oh.
we just didn't stick it in
Doesn't
where it was
reference
supposed
the
to
citing
go.
Got
of
it.
code.
It actually referenced no
No
code
citing.
section, so.
Got it.
That's where the 5.30.1.7 point we're going to put in there.
7-0, yeah.
Got it.
And that's the point of this whole thing.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Don't you have a duck joke?
I have a duck joke, too. Mr. Ekstrom.
So with that being said, I want to put this to rest and codify ordinance number 12. I would ask council to approve ordinance number 12, series of 2017 on first reading.
Second.
Made second. Any discussion on that motion? Would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Ekstrom?
Aye.
Councilmember Weed?
Aye.
Councilmember Meisner?
Aye.
Councilmember Smith?
Aye.
Councilmember Gill?
Aye.
Councilmember Jaquez?
Aye.
Councilmember Schumacher?
Aye.
Approved by unanimous vote.
Okay, number 9 is ordinance number 13, series 2017. This is the first reading of an ordinance referring a ballot issue, a 10-year extension of the Tabor timeout. I will need 3 to introduce. Mr. Weed, Mr. Gill. Would you have, what? Oh, Mr. Ekstrom.
Thank you.
And would you read by title, please?
This is a bill for ordinance number 13, series of 2017, an ordinance referring a ballot issue to the registered electors of the city of Canyon City, providing for a 10-year Tabor timeout and the reestablishment of the city's district base at the conclusion of such 10-year Tabor timeout. If you will note on the top, I had forgotten to put a bill for ordinance, so it needs to be a bill for.
Any comments or questions from the council?
On page 2 at the top, that's the actual verbiage that's going to be on the ballot? Is there any other way to, I mean, that almost looks like a new tax. Even though it says no new tax, the way it's written, it almost looks like we're talking about a new tax versus continuing an existing tax. There's no way to use that verbiage that would explain that?
Question? Yeah.
Or is it just me? Does anybody else get that when you read that? That maybe a person could look at that and say that that's some kind of new tax?
I don't know. When I read it, it seems pretty clear. It says no new tax.
Without
and
voter
no tax
approval.
increase.
Without voter approval. Yeah.
Okay. If Dennis says it's good, it must be good.
That's what it says. It says no new tax.
And your grand tenure.
Ain't gonna be clearer than that.
With age comes wisdom.
Okay. Any other comments or questions from council at this time? Hearing and seeing none, can I have a motion and a second?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Schumacher.
I make a motion that we approve upon first reading ordinance 13, series 2017.
Second.
Mr. Jaquez. Any discussion on that motion? Would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Schumacher?
Aye.
Councilmember Jaquez?
Aye.
Councilmember Weed?
Aye.
Councilmember Ekstrom?
Aye.
Councilmember Gill?
Aye.
Councilmember Meisner?
Aye.
Councilmember Smith?
Aye.
Approved by unanimous vote.
Oh, thank you all.
Don't bang that yet.
No, I'm not going to bang it.
Okay, I just wanted to say that probably as we did the first time this passed, like 7 or 8 years ago, we need to make sure that we do a real good job of getting the word out to the community that this is not a tax increase, and given the recession that we went through, this city would be in horrible financial shape if that Tabor timeout had not passed 7 years ago. And so this is a really important thing. And part of the reason why we're able to do the improvements that we're talking about is because of that previous Tabor timeout. And so I think it's crucial to get that message out.
How did you get the message out last time?
Dennis did it.
We just talked, we probably just talked about it at city council. That's, I don't know.
It was 100 years ago, wasn't it?
Okay.
Yeah.
So we can have that discussion later.
We'll have a discussion on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I'm going to adjourn. Thank you all.
So